Alright, you lot, strap yourselves in, because today we're diving into salt mine of Call of Duty fanboys and those lovely gaming journalists who seem to have special ard-on for hating on XDefiant. Yeah, we're talking about why they're so desperate to see Ubisoft's scrappy FPS fail and what's got them quaking in their overpriced boots. Is it jealousy? Fear? Or are they just pissed it's actually fun? We're breaking it all down, so stick around, because you don't want to miss out on this one. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe and all that bollocks. It helps the channel grow. Alright, let's get into the meat of it. Why are Call of Duty players frothing at mouth every time someone so much as whispers XDefiant? Well, lads and lasses, it's pretty simple. See, these die-hard COD players have been spoon-fed same stale porridge every year, with minor tweaks, a fresh coat of paint and a slap on arse to keep them coming back. But XDefiant? It's daring to serve up something different, something fresh, something actually fun, without endless grind and bloody battle pass microtransactions choking life out of it. Now let's be honest here. COD players are used to being dragged through same miserable matchmaking hell, getting stomped on by some 12-year-old who's been glitching through walls since the game's release, and they love to hate it. But along comes XDefiant, a game that's not only free but focused on pure gunplay, skill-based progression and fast-paced action without hand-holding or engagement-optimised matchmaking. Suddenly, COD crowd feels threatened. It's like that weird unknown kid who shows up at school with a new toy. No one knows him, but everyone's pissed because they don't have it. Plus, let's not ignore obvious, COD's been top dog for years, and fanboys just can't cope with the idea that another FPS might actually pull them away from the precious yearly release. Heaven forbid you enjoy something new, eh? Well, let's face it, XDefiant don't have billion-dollar Activision marketing machine brainwashing them into thinking best thing since sliced bread. Maybe that's what really stings. Now let's talk about those gaming journalists who love to sit on their high horses, spouting wisdom like the bloody gatekeepers are all things gaming. These are the same folks who can't review a game without shoehorning in some social commentary that no one asked for. And surprise, surprise, they've got it in for XDefiant. But why? What's got their knickers in a twist? I'll tell you why. Because XDefiant threatens the precious little narrative. These journos have been comfortably cozying up to big franchises like COD for years. You know, ones that keep their ad revenue flowing and give them early access to all exclusive content so they can pretend at first to break news. They made an art form out of overhyping next big release and burying games that don't play ball with their agenda. And let's be real here, XDefiant don't play ball. It's Wildcard that's checking up stale FPS genre, and it don't care about pandering to these glorified bloggers. Successor XDefiant is a slap in face to these journos because it's proof that gamers aren't mindless sheep they want us to be. They want you hooked on same old games, drowning in loot boxes and microtransactions, so they can keep writing the clickbait articles about why COD's still king or whatever other drivel they churn out. But XDefiant? Nah, it's not feeding into that cycle, and that scares hell out of them. I mean, can you imagine panic in the newsroom when a game that's actually fun, without all corporate strings attached, starts gaining traction? Suddenly, the credibility's at stake. Wait, how can gamers enjoy a game we didn't approve of? This isn't part of the script. It's like watching a pack of hyenas desperately trying to protect the carcass. See, successor XDefiant is a threat, not just at status quo gaming, but their entire business model, and they'll do whatever it takes to drag it down. Now, we're getting to the juicy bit. Why is everyone so bloody desperate for XDefiant to fail? You'd think it was some global conspiracy to keep fun out of gaming. And in a way it is. See, COD fanboys and gaming journalists we just ripped apart, yeah, they got a vested interest in seeing XDefiant crash and burn. And I'm about to break down exactly why. First off, XDefiant is underdog, Rocky Balboa FPS world, coming out swinging against big dogs like Call of Duty. Now, people love to root for underdog, right? Nah, not here. Not when it threatens the comfort zone. See, a lot of gamers have been stuck in the same old cycle of repetitive shooters, and for some weird reason, they cling to it like a security blanket. So when a game like XDefiant shows up doing things differently, no pay-to-win mechanics, no endless battle passes, just skill-based gameplay, it disrupts that cosy little hamster wheel they've been running on. Now, it's kicker. They don't just want XDefiant to fail for personal reasons. Nah, it's way bigger than that. These COD lovers and journalists are defending an empire. Call of Duty and AAA shooter market? That's big business, mate. We're talking billions in profits from annual releases, microtransactions, esports tournaments, all bloody machine. And XDefiant threatens that machine. If it succeeds, if players actually start jumping ship to a game that ain't squeezing every last penny out of the wallets, it sends a message. We don't need COD to have fun anymore. And that's terrifying to them. Because if XDefiant thrives, it opens door for other indie and mid-tier shooters to do the same. Suddenly, dominance of these bloated corporate fun franchises start to crumble, and that's bad news for everyone riding COD gravy train. So yeah, they want XDefiant to fail, not because it's a bad game, but because it challenges their dominance. It exposes cracks in foundations of FPS genre and shows players that there's more out there than just same old reskin cash grab titles that have been fed for years. But don't worry, they'll keep pushing the narratives. XDefiant is a COD clown, or it's too buggy, or it'll never last, all while secretly sweating bullets every time player base grows. Oh, and this one's a real beauty. Have you noticed how some of these reputable gaming outlets keep dropping hints that XDefiant is on chopping block? It's like they're reading tea leaves, or maybe they've got some inside scoop from Ministry of Bullshit about Ubisoft's next move. But let me tell you, this whole shutdown narrative, it's not but fear-mongering clickbait. So why do they keep pushing it? Simple. It's all about control. First, let's get real. XDefiant launch wasn't perfect. What game's launch is? COD sure as hell enjoys out its own dumpster fires every year, yet somehow that never gets labelled doomed, does it? But minute XDefiant has a bug, suddenly journos are clutching the pearls, publishing article after article about how it's too unstable, or player count is declining, or Ubisoft's ready to pull plug. It's like they're trying to convince you game's on life support before it's even hit its stride. You see, this is classic misdirection. They want to plant that seed of doubt in your head so that XDefiant never gets a real chance. It's like when you hear someone badmouth a restaurant before you've tried it. Suddenly, you're not sure if you should bother, right? Well, that's what they're doing here. They want you to think, why invest in a game that's just gonna get shut down? And if enough people think that, guess what? It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, why would they be so obsessed with this shutdown fantasy? It goes back to what we've already covered, control and money. Big franchises like Call of Duty, they've got these media outlets wrapped around their fingers. These juicy early access codes, those paid review slots, all that sweet advertising cash. It's all part of the machine. If XDefiant takes off, it means more competition, less predictability, and potential loss of control over their audience. And they can't have that. So they push this narrative that XDefiant is on its last legs, hoping to nip it in bud before it ever threatens the precious revenue streams. And don't even get me started on YouTubers and streamers who'll jump on bandwagon just for drama clicks. Is XDefiant dead? They ask in the thumbnails, like they're reporting breaking news from a war zone. Nah mate, only thing dead is their originality. But it's reality. XDefiant ain't going anywhere. Community's growing, devs are listening, and Ubisoft's in it for long haul. So keep an eye on those headlines. But remember, most of it's just smoke and mirrors. They're hoping you'll get up on XDefiant before it gets started. Now let's dig into the real reason XDefiant is big boys sweating through the designer jeans. It's not just gameplay, though that's enough to make COD fanboys spit out the Mountain Dew. It's what XDefiant represents. This game's anti-establishment poster child, flipping bird to everything that's turned modern gaming into corporate cash grab factory. First off, XDefiant is free to play, and not in that slimy, we'll give you a little taste before we bleed you dry with microtransactions way. Ubisoft didn't nickel and diming you for every weapon skin, dance emote, or special edition gun that shoots glitter out of its ass. Nah, it's putting focus into where it should be, on gameplay. Fast-paced, sweaty, no-nonsense gunplay that reminds us why we fell in love with FPS games in the first place. There's no endless grind to unlock stuff that should have been in base game to begin with. And you know what that does? It exposes just how predatory these other AAA shooters have become. Imagine that. A game where you don't feel like you're getting shaken down for your spare change every time you log in. Shocking, I know. And that's exactly what makes XDefiant a threat. It's daring to say no to industry's worst habits. No battle passes holding your fun hostage. No pay-to-win mechanics turning every lobby into a wallet-measuring contest. Just you, your skill, and some guns. And let's talk about skill-based matchmaking. In COD, you're constantly getting face melted by some sweaty tryhard phase wannabe because everyone's same level. There's no variety to matches. Each one feels same as last. There's frustration dialed up to 11. XDefiant doesn't shove you into lobbies based on how many times you've rage quit in the last hour. It's all about random engagements and mixed skill levels. Not whatever invisible formula algorithms cooked up to optimize engagement. But that's not all. XDefiant dares to be fun. Like actual fun. Not grindy, repetitive kind of fun where you're counting how many headshots you need to unlock a gold camo before your soul leaves your body. Real adrenaline pumping, fast-paced fun where every match feels different and you're not mentally calculating how much XP you need for next useless unlock. And you know what happens when gamers remember what fun feels like? They stop putting up with bullshit. That's why COD and other big dogs are worried. XDefiant's waking people up. It's a rebellion against bloated cash cow FPS games that think they can serve you same reheated garbage every year and call it a meal. And the more successful it becomes, the more players start questioning why they've been sinking the time and money into games that don't respect them as players. So yeah, XDefiant's a threat, not just cause it's a good game, but cause it's holding up a mirror to the gaming industry and showing how far it's fallen. And that, my friends, is what's really got establishment shaking. Now let's round this out by talking about why XDefiant might just be FPS Disruptor we've all been secretly waiting for. You know how every once in a while something comes along that flips all damn script? That's what XDefiant could be. A game that finally breaks the stranglehold these massive money-hungry franchises have on shooter market. See, XDefiant ain't just another COD clone, no matter what haters say. Yeah, it's a fast-paced arena shooter with guns and explosions, but it's doing things differently in all ways that count. For starters, it's not trying to be everything for everyone. It's not a bloated battle royale mode that no one asked for, or crammed with a million random features to keep you grinding away like some sort of digital hamster. It knows exactly what it wants to be. A tight, competitive shooter where skill actually matters. No gimmicks, no distractions, just pure adrenaline-fueled action. Now I know what you're thinking, but ain't COD already competitive? Mate, COD hasn't been truly competitive in years. It's a casino disguised as a shooter. Every match is rigged to keep you playing, win or lose, by making sure you're hooked on unlocking next shiny thing or leveling up to avoid being stomped by that one player who's already spent a mortgage on microtransactions. XDefiant cuts through all that nonsense. You're not grinding for next unlock. You're grinding to get better, to outplay your opponent, not just out-purchase them. What XDefiant is doing is tapping into something that big shooters have lost. That pure, unadulterated sense of competition and community. Remember when games were about playing with mates and having a laugh, rather than showing off your latest skin or achievement? XDefiant brings back that old school FPS vibe, where it focuses having a good time and getting better, not comparing how much you've spent or how lucky you got with matchmaking. But here's real kicker. XDefiant is doing all this without corporate blow. It's not chasing esports dollars or trying to shove an in-game shop down your throat every 5 minutes. It's actually focused on listening to community, fixing bugs, tweaking balance, and improving game based on player feedback. Imagine that, a game that actually gives a toss about its players, while AAA shooters are too busy stuffing their pockets. XDefiant is building something with actual passion behind it, and that's what makes it so damn dangerous to big boys. And of course, other studios hate that. They're scrambling to figure out how a game without the fancy marketing budgets and overpriced skin bundles is pulling in attention. They're stuck in past, and XDefiant is speeding ahead. Like a punk kid on a skateboard flipping at bird as they try to figure out why the suit and tie approach ain't working anymore. Truth is, XDefiant's a wake-up call to entire industry. It's showing that gamers are sick of being treated like walking wallets. We want fun, fair, fast-paced shooters that don't try and milk us dry at every corner. And if XDefiant keeps pushing boundaries, it might just blow doors off all FPS scene and force industry to change for better. And honestly, it's about time too. But here's the thing. This game's success depends on you lot. That's right, the players. If we want to see games like XDefiant rise, we've got to support ones that aren't treating us like mindless drones feeding corporate machine. So keep playing, keep giving feedback, and most importantly, keep enjoying a game that's actually about skill and fun, not paywalls and fake progression. And speaking of support, don't forget to smash that like button. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out on more rants, revelations and occasional spot of gaming wisdom. And hey, leave your comments and questions below. I might just feature them on channel, especially if you've got a spicy take on why gaming world's so bloody terrified or XDefiant. And I'll see you next time, you magnificent